What's up, you guys? Good morning, good evening, whatever applies to you. Hope you are staying safe. And today, I'm gonna walk you guys through the favorite process of mine when it comes to dopamine detoxing. Excuse my sort of brain fog because right now I'm dieting, and cutting down, leaning down, or whatever you wanna call it. So it takes 2 weeks or so for me to get adjusted to my new calorie intake, right? This is a serious cut, so to speak. But anyway, I digress. um this is the topic of the video today, my topic, dopamine detox, right? um First and foremost, I have to say this is not the only way to do dopamine detoxing. This is not some special way to do it, right? You can do it any way you prefer to, as long as the basic idea is met, the basic needs are met, right? So this is my favorite way to do it. So here are the subtopics that we are going to talk today. What to have, what to never have, physical preparation, mental preparation, actual process, and an important note at the end, right? So these are the 6 subtopics that I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So as always, sit back, don't popcorn, and pay attention. Starting off with the first subtopic of the day, which is what to have. So these are the things that you must have in order to pursue with my version of dopamine detox. Like, this version is a version I put together with all the things that I watched, read, and heard about the process, and also a couple of trial and error runs. So here are the things that I personally have, and if you want to proceed with this process, you should have these things as well, right? So first thing is a journal or any book, a book of any kind, right? First thing is that. Then a pen or a pencil, like preferably a pen. And then you're gonna need an analog watch. It has to be analog, right? With those hands. So another thing you would need is a non-stimulant painkiller. It has to be non-stimulant, right? It can't contain any stimulants, because stimulants will give you some sort of a dopamine spike. And you're gonna have to have a bottle of water, right? I'm not gonna do any British accent jokes, so you're gonna have to have a bottle of water. And then you're gonna have to have a couple of hangout spots, to spend some time, be it in the nature, be it inside your house, be it your rooftop, be it somewhere away from your house. That's totally fine, right? As long as you can spend some time by yourself in that spot, that's fine, right? That's where you should be. That's the nature of a hangout spot that you should have. And also you're gonna need brain fog setsi. Yeah. And the element that I've forgotten due to brain fog is a pair of sunglasses, or a pair of shades. This is not something that I use currently. This is not something that I've used for the past chunk really of dopamine detoxes, but you might need it. So better to have it on hand, at least for the first couple of dopamine detoxes, to really see if you really need that, right? If you don't need it, just do the process without that. And if you do need it, you obviously do need it, right? Now I'm gonna move on to what to never have. These are big no-nos in especially in a 24-hour dopamine detox, a short and compact kind of dopamine detox, but also these should be, for the most part at least, in most people's dopamine detoxing processes, these things should never be included. Thing number one is junk food, right? This is a process where you train your brain to thrive under lower dopamine levels, right? So in order to do that, you obviously gonna need to keep that dopamine levels at a low level for long enough, just so your brain will get adapted to that, right? So no junk food whatsoever, and no digital equipments. And not having any digital equipment is sort of something that you should do in a more sort of compacted version of dopamine detoxing. If you do a 7-day dopamine detox, I mean, I've done like 2 or 3 7-day detoxing, dopamine detoxing. So if that's your case, you don't have to like exclude everything, but in this case you're gonna have to exclude your digital equipment, like everything, right? Then no entertainment of any kind for that 24 hours, right? You are not allowed, if you are following this process, if you are following the process that I follow, you are not allowed to have any sort of entertainment, right? None. Then no books, right? You're not gonna be able to have any books with your dopamine detox process, right? Like any kind of books. And then another thing you shouldn't have is obviously stimulants. There's no space for stimulants in this process. And one thing I also want to mention under the second subtopic is no sex, no masturbation, no cuddling, no nothing of that sort, right? So at this point, that's like my default. It might be sad for other people, but since I get my life in order, myself, I'm really not that ready for a relationship, right? I'm just gonna put it out there because I have certain things to be desired in my life as well. So it's not me spending a mediocre life or me spending a pathetic life, right? So that's the state that you have to be in when you're doing a dopamine detox, right? No sex, no masturbation, no any intimacy or anything like that, because your brain has to have that room, right? That room in order to recover and get adapted to a lower dopamine levels, to a lower dopamine level. This brain fog is real. Moving on to the third subtopic of the day, which is physical preparation, right? So this is the way I prepare myself physically, right? Because this is like, after a couple of trial and errors, this is the way I see fit and I see as most sustainable when I do dopamine detoxing, right? So this is the way I personally prefer to prep myself. And if you are finding this way to be subpar, or this way to be something that doesn't work whatsoever, you can always like do a couple of trial and errors and adjust things a little bit and make a physical preparation that fits you the best as an individual. This is me talking about my topic, right? My topic requires my kind of preparation. So the first thing I do in this process is making sure that I have everything that I mentioned in that list. The list under this, the list I mentioned under what to have, right? I make sure I have everything. Like, that list has 7 elements of to it. So I make sure that I have all that. And then what I do is just preparing a meal, right? Once that list is good to go, I prepare a meal for myself. Usually that meal is something that's high in protein, like 50-60 grams of protein, and high in other nutrients as well, really nutritionally dense, some vegetables, some protein, some healthy starch. uh, you know since I'm a vegan, I usually get healthy starches from the vegetables that I eat and from the protein sources that I eat and things like that, right? So an example for a meal like that would be a pan-seared block of tofu with a root vegetable and a leafy green, something like that, and a real simple smoothie on the side, just to make that boring ass meal just slide in me a little easier. Stop. Get your minds out of the gutter. Get your frigging minds out of the gutter, you dirty-minded freaks. So that's the first thing I do. Then after that meal, I prepare the same kind of ingredients for the post detox meal, right? Once that 24-hour process is over, I also prep the same exact ingredients, or like real close to that kind of ingredients for the post detox meal. Then I do this thing where for me it's kind of like a crossover between physical and mental preparation, right? So what I do is just simply calling my birthday twin, right? I mean, she's like 22 years older than me, but we share the same birthday. So I call her and just have a quick 90-minute talk with her, 60 to 90 minutes. So to just clear my head, like let everything out, right? Just talk absolutely random things, and just clear my thoughts, like I said. And then once that conversation is over, I've known her for years. By the way, on a side note, I've known her for years, and she has always been like real close to me. So she's real understanding, super sweet, a kind being overall. But anyway, coming back to the topic, what I do next is, after that conversation is all said and done, what I do is just turning off my all my electronics, all my digitals, and keeping that either in my closet, or I give it to my brother or my mother or something like that. It all depends on the time that I start the process, right? So I just ditch those things for the next 24 hours, 25 hours or so. Then after all that's done, I spend about 30 to 40 minutes just staying with myself and really looking at my thoughts, self-reflection, if you will. That's what I do for the physical preparation, so to speak. And that self-reflection part is where I just cross over towards the mental preparation side of things, right? So as you can see, the physical preparation and mental preparation, that's sort of like merged over. There's a sort of a gray area between those two things. Just like it's like the second cousin, so to speak. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should watch more Jeff Dunham, right? So anyway, I will talk about the mental preparation next. Then moving on to the mental preparation side of things, there's not much to it. I just do a little bit of self-reflection, and then after that 30 to 40 minutes of self-reflection and looking at my own thoughts. And also, this is super important detail. This is a super important detail, which is that I block out all the external stimulus, all the external sounds, all the external waves and things like that. I just sit with myself and close my eyes, just look at my thoughts. And you can't really do that to your maximum potential or maximum capability when you get distracted by all the physical stimulus, right? So block that out as much as possible, right? Then I give my room a sort of a rearrangement, and make sure everything is spotless in my room. And then I do a little bit of breath work and go to sleep. Like, that's the mental preparation. That's it. There's no magic. There's not much to it when it comes to my mental preparation, like I said. Then I'm gonna move on to the actual process in itself, right? The moment we all have been waiting for. I just explained all this to actually come to this. So anyway, what I do is just waking up. The only difference is that I don't use an alarm to wake up. Like, I just feel it out. Whenever I wake up, I just wake up, right? I don't use an alarm or anything like that to wake up when I do my dopamine detox. Then once I woke up, I do my regular morning routine, which is it'll be linked down below in the description. I'm not gonna explain that again and waste your time on this video, because if you have already watched that video, it would be a waste of time for you to watch this video, this part of this video where I explain all that again, right? So if you haven't watched that, I will link that down below in the description. You can go check it out if you want to. Don't feel like you have to, but it would be good for you if you check that out. But anyway, the actual process. So after that morning routine and all that's said and done, I sit down, and that's when that pen or that pencil and the book comes into play, right? I just do a little bit of journaling, as far as my feelings go, how I feel, what changes I experienced up to this point, that sort of thing. So once that's done, that journaling part is done, that's when it becomes a game of racking up those hours, right? Do whatever you have to do to rack up those 24 hours. I mean, I'm not saying listen to songs or something like that. I'm not saying that at all. Without violating the things that we talked about in this, without going above and beyond that parameters, those parameters, do whatever you can and you have to just to rack up those hours, right? I personally do things like hanging out with myself, breath work, I do naps, I do cold showers, I do things like that, right? There's nothing wrong with taking showers during the dopamine detox, right? Cold showers and things like that. So a couple of my favorite hangout spots would be my rooftop. That's one. That's one of the most like used hangout spots of mine. Like I spend quite a bit of time throughout the week on top of my rooftop. That's besides the point, by the way. I'm just mentioning the favorite hangout spots of mine. Then another spot would be by the lagoon. That's a little over a kilometer away from my house. So that, that's one of my favorite hangout spots as well. I spend like 2-3 hours sometimes in there, just to rack up those hours, like I said. And also another one of my favorite hangout spots is the railway station right by the sea, right? So right by the beach. So I just spend time looking at the sea and sea waves, and it's all about racking up those hours at that point, right? Especially at the tail end of it, at the last couple of hours, like 4 to 6 hours, it becomes all about racking up those hours, right? It's gonna be a lot of boredom. Something you may have noticed at this point is the fact that I did not mention food, right? I didn't mention food. Here's why. Food is sort of a choice, or food is really individual. If you can go without food um, throughout this 24-hour process, do so. But if you feel like you are like extremely focused on that hunger, that will take the whole point of doing that away, for the most part at least, right? So if you are someone like me who is focusing on that hunger too much, when you are hungry, snack on something. Here's the thing: that snack should not be a junk snack, for one. When I do dopamine detoxing, I do eat, but I do eat minimally, a minimum amount, just to get rid of that hunger, just to barely get rid of that hunger, just so I don't focus on that hunger too much. The food sources that I go to are peanuts, bananas, carrots, and dates. Those four are like, my go-to food sources. Not in that particular order, there's no real order to that. But those are the food sources that I go to, right? So the key to this is eating something that's not highly palatable. Dates might be highly palatable for you, or peanuts might be highly palatable for you, or bananas might be highly palatable for you. If these food sources are highly palatable for you personally, then choose the foods that are not highly palatable for yourself, right? The whole idea of eating something during this process is to get rid of that hunger, just so you will not focused in it way too much, right? So the purpose of eating in this process, the sole purpose of eating in this process and during this process, is to get rid of that hunger. Just so you will feel the real benefit of doing this, right? So make sure that if you are eating something, make sure that it's not a junk snack, like deep fried something or something like that. And also make sure that it's not a highly palatable snack, right? Those are the two sort of rules that you have to adhere to. I believe that I said the word right. Anyway, that's the process in itself. But a couple of things that I want to also mention is that at the tail end of this process, you might want to hang on to those sunglasses and that non-stimulant painkillers, because you might need it. You are more than likely to need it, trust me, because I've done this process dozens of times, if not hundreds of times. So I mean, not this exact process. Sometimes it's 12 hours, sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. Whatever. But I have implemented the concept of dopamine detoxing in my life dozens, if not hundreds of times, right? So that's the process. That's the whole process that I want to talk about. And in this process, like you saw, like you see, it's all about creating a whole lot of boredom and learning, teaching yourself to deal with that boredom in a proper manner, just so your brain will get programmed to that, and you will not go down a dark path like pornography, right? So that's the whole point of this process. um, with that all being said, I'm gonna move on to the last subtopic of the day, which is the important note. And I sweat much more than usual because the yesterday was a heavy raining day, and today, in Sri Lanka, today, Sri Lanka is a tropical country, by the way. Today is really humid, so I'm sweating much more than usual, and basically I'm in a pool of my own sweat. Anyway, the important note is that this process that I just discussed or somewhat discussed, um, is a process that I made for myself, right? So this is well suited for my own lifestyle. It might not be, might not be the optimal process for your lifestyle. It might not be all that fitting for your lifestyle. It might not even be fitting at all for your lifestyle. So there's this importance of making a dopamine detox process that works for your lifestyle, your individual lifestyle. So you can either run a couple of trial and error and figure that out for yourself, or you can reach out to me using the links down below in the description. It's totally up to you. And another thing that I want to mention, just so I would not get like plagiarism accusations, is that a lot of the things that I implemented in my own dopamine detoxing process is from Bill Rancho's dopamine detox. This is not the exact same, but it is pretty similar. It's like 80% similar to that process. I will link his video down below in the description as well if you wanna go check his video out. And if you wanna support someone who is spreading this message other than me, please support me as well. Other than myself, I would say Bill Rancho is would be one of my top picks. He is the guy that I first watched in this whole scenario. So I'm not sponsored, or I'm not even said to even mention his name in my videos, but I just give a shout out to the guy because I think his content is great, right? The things I watched in his channel, those are like real informative, real great, big eye openers. So with all that being said, I will link his video down below as well. Without all that being said, I will end this video here. By now you know the YouTube deal, like, comment, share and subscribe. Although not a lot of people do that currently in my channel. Anyway, which is kind of sad really. Anyway, I will end the video right here. Until next time, I'm High Value Guy, and may the Triple Gem bless you.